Good morning, YouTubers, do-it-yourselfers, and anybody else interested in this video. I've had a problem for a while with two of my downspouts draining out into my yard or all over my driveway, and I also need to widen my driveway. I've done half the driveway already, so I can show you what that looks like, and then I can take you through all the steps I'm using to get that water away from the driveway and to drain out into the yard. We're going to be widening the driveway by 2 feet and also creating a pseudo dry well for the water to go into towards the bottom of the driveway. So stick around with us and watch how it all goes. Here's the side of the driveway that's already been completed. I didn't run any drains below this, so it didn't take much time and I didn't have to go very deep. I think I went down about maybe 18 inches. Put in about 6 inches of good hard rock, compacted that, came in with about 3-4 inches of sand, and then put in the bricks, which are very thick. Those are the 12-pound BARR bricks made in Streator, Illinois. I initially bought some other bricks to do the other side of the driveway, and they are Purington pavers, and I don't think they're quite as good as the BARR brick, and that's this pile right here. I've got about 700 of them here. And then behind that, I've got some salvaged bricks that I got from a farm. That stack of about 300 right there. And then I've got another 250 that I bought right here. Or no, it's 450 I bought. So I've got about 700 of the big BARR bricks from Streator. These things weigh about like 12 pounds a piece. So they're very heavy bricks. As I said earlier, I've got 2 downspouts that currently just drain into the yard. This one here is for my garage over here. Between it and the patio and all the water that comes off of it, we're always having a mess over here on the driveway and the water never leaves. So hopefully by running the downspouts through a drain, there's the bobcat I rented, through the drain all the way out down to the end of the driveway and then teeing off to the left, and I'm gonna dig a pit probably 4 to 5 foot deep, maybe 2 foot wide, and fill it with about 4 foot of gravel in here, that when the water makes it all the way down here it will drain away, and if it comes up because of water saturation in the soil, it should drain out onto the hill and this little sidewalk, and that would be what you would call the daylight. I already started digging this last night. I'm going to try to stay below a frost line. I don't know if it's super important to do that, so I'm going to go down to 2 feet right here. And as I work my way towards the end of the driveway, I should be about 3 to 3.5 feet, and then finally I'll drop it down to 4 to 5 feet where I'm creating the dry well. About 26 inches right here, and still haven't made my mind up if I need to be that deep at the very beginning of this, because the water should be moving pretty quick through here even if it's cold outside, in the event that we have a melt off and then it gets cold again. So I may have to adjust that slightly. Just changed the bucket to have the smaller one on there so I can run the lines that aren't going to be perforated drainage, just my straight connectors that come straight off the downspouts. I need to be able to tee into this other downspout over here, and when I I do that, I don't need to have a hole that's 20 inches wide. I have an electric line, an old existing one that goes to our light outside here, as you can see in the shadow, and I'm going to start digging that now. Well, I've got everything positioned where I need it now. Got the truck positioned, the dirt out of the way, the small bucket on the Bobcat, and I've got some electrical wire exposed here that I'm going to try to stay away from. I got a real small concrete pad over here right at the base of where the downspout comes down. I'm going to tear that out, and this sidewalk also is going to be joining the driveway, so I'll be widening that out too. As close as I can get to that house right now. I'm going to have to move the Bobcat back and move the truck. Time to get rid of that old downspout slab. Got some weight to it. Probably about 2,000 pounds or so. I'm pretty strong. Well, so far I've got the new sidewalk area dug, and the downspout drain coming from the downspout in the house under that sidewalk. I've got the main trench coming from this drain and the patio drain started. I probably made it a little too wide at the bottom, since this is just going to be a solid pipe coming through here, and we're not going to be doing any water disbursement in this area. I think what I'm going to end up doing is probably putting some dirt back in after I put the pipe down, and then I'll have to tamp it down before we put the rock and the sand up in this area for the pavers. As I work my way down, what I'm probably going to have to do now is get my 18-inch depth at 24 inches wide for the patio, or for the extension of the bricks. And then once I've got that done, I'll have to straddle it and go deeper with the smaller bucket that I've got on. So I'll probably have to switch back to the 24-inch bucket again before I go and use that little 12-inch bucket. We'll have to see. The hardest part of all this is after I fill up my truck full of dirt, I have to go shovel it by hand manually at the neighbor's house, and that is a bear. Half a day into this project, and it's starting to shape up. I'm getting the main trench where I'm going to be laying down the brick. It's getting to look pretty good. A lot of shadows out here. I originally was going to go like 24 inches right off the bat, which was a mistake. I really only need to be about 12 inches through here. 12 inches will accommodate 5 inches of rock, 3.5 inches of sand, and a 3.5-inch brick, and that'll put me right even with my driveway here. But what I'm going to have to do, where the pipe is coming through from the drains, I'm going to hand dig that, I believe, to get it down where I want it. And then when I start having the perforated pipe, then I'm going to go deeper, you know, up to maybe 2 feet deep, 3 feet deep, until I get down to the very bottom. I'm going to go off to the left here, and somewhere in the grass there on the hill, I'm going to dig a pit probably about 4 foot deep and fill it full of rocks. I did this in the backyard, and it seemed to do really well for draining my downspouts, so we'll try to do that again. Time to go unload another truckload of dirt by hand. Not fun. Well, it looks like we got the depth we want at 12 inches, and I have to go down here and make my pseudo dry well. I call it a pseudo dry well because I'm not using a plastic tub of any kind. I'm just making a pit that's going to be filled with gravel and covered with a filtration cloth. And like I said, I'll start digging that in a minute as soon as I move the truck, and you'll see that it's going to be maybe about, I don't know, 6 to 8 foot long and about 4 foot wide, and we'll fill that full of gravel, about 3 to 4 foot deep. And the water should take off from these 2 downspouts, and it should take care of the driveway fine. The spot I'm calling the pseudo dry well looks like it's about done here. I think I'm down about 4 feet, maybe a little deeper. Found a really cool brick down there, some sort of paver. Being I collect pavers, it's pretty cool. We'll see what kind it is here in a minute. Found this old block while I was digging that big hole. It's a molding block paver, and I will incorporate that into my sidewalk. That's pretty cool. Other than having to clean up just a little bit here at the end and get the dirt out just on the edge of this one, I think we're about done with this excavator. And I'm pretty glad about that because I've got another huge load. I've got my springs upside down. Now I got to go shovel that, and that should be the largest load that I'll have to deal with here. And then it's just a matter of doing a little hand digging in the hole here. As I said earlier, we're 12 inches deep to accommodate the rock, the sand, and the 3.5 inch paver blocks. And I'll have to do a little cutting down the middle to fit that drain in, because we got to get it down probably at least another 8 inches. It's day 2 of our project, and today I was planning on getting rocks, but unfortunately when I went to Menards, they held me up because they couldn't find an item out in the yard. So today I'm just going to put in the cloth, the geotextile fabric, down in this dry well. We had a huge rain last night, probably at least 2 inches of rain, and I don't see anything standing, so that's a good sign. Here's the fabric we're going to be putting down tonight. It's from Menards. It's the DuraWeave commercial geotextile fabric, 6 foot by 100 foot roll. I'm hoping that this is big enough to handle this job that I've got without having to buy more, because it was about $65 or $68, which is quite a bit, I think. And I'll be using it to line the dry well, and I'll be using it for probably about a 10-foot section French drain that we're going to be putting alongside the driveway. The first 10-15 feet I'm just going to use straight pipe without the holes cut in it, and we'll see how it goes. To secure that fabric in place, we have some Yardworks garden staples. I got 50 of them. They're 4 1/4 inches long, and I think I paid about $5 for that. And then for the 2 drains I'll be putting in tomorrow night when I get my rocks finally, they're called drain sleeves. I'll be putting that on each 10-foot section. And, well, it looks like, yeah, it's 4 inches by 10 foot. So I'll be using these to keep the silt from getting into the 2 drainage pipes I'll be using. This is to keep the silt from working its way into the rocks, so the rocks will drain better. Supposed to let water through. Well, all right, now we got this probably in pretty good shape to bring them rocks in tomorrow. And I'll just kind of do a little recap of what we're doing. We're going to put a catch basin over on that drain. Going to run straight pipe underneath where the new sidewalk's going to be. We got to be careful with that electric line. We're going to pull another drain over here and also put in a surface mount drain to drain the patio when it comes out that little hole in that wall. I've got about I'd say close to a 20-foot straight run where we're just going to bury the pipe and I'll put it down just a little bit further. It's about 15 inches deep now. We're going to get the top of that pipe probably 18 inches in case of frost, if we have a late spring melt. And then it runs in down here to where we're going to have the French drain start right here. It's going to run for about 8 feet, actually about 10 feet if you count to the center of this dry well. And then I'm probably going to make a loop on the dry well with the 4-inch pipe. And I got perforated pipe with slots in it. Unfortunately, they didn't have the 2 holes that I wanted at Menards. They said they quit having it. So we're going to go with the slotted perforated pipe. I've got plenty to lap over top of where the rocks will be at. I'm going to pile in probably close to 5 feet of rock in here that the pipe will lay on, about another 1.5 feet above it, and then about 4 to probably 6 inches of topsoil. After I lay down this big rock, we'll put in smaller rock to compress above the big rock. Probably about 4 to 6 inches of that rock, and then about 3 inches of sand, maybe 2 inches. It all depends how much I got, I guess. And it'll all get compressed, and then we'll start laying the brick and filling in the brick and tamping that down. have one last load of riprap to put in to finish this dry well and the French drain area of this project. Well, I got all the 1 to 3 inch riprap in tonight, the second load, and I've covered up the perforated pipe. Tomorrow, or the next day, I'll be connecting solid pipe to the end of the riprap here. It's got the sock over it, so I'll have to fix the sock to where no dirt will get in there. And then maybe yet tonight I have to do a little bit of trenching in here to get the pipe down below 16 to 18 inches, somewhere in that range. And now I can actually take the geotextile cloth and cover up the riprap. That way we won't get dirt down in the pores where the water's going to be settling. The last few days I've made progress on getting all these lines plumbed in. I've got more than enough drop on these lines to where they'll drain away from the house. The big gamble here is that I'm banking on that the dry well will absorb this water and handle it. And that's probably one of the reasons I decided to go with these water collector boxes for the downspouts to go into. I bought these at Menards. I don't know if I really have, I guess, much of a good opinion about them. The fixtures, when you glue them in, they don't really glue up real well. I ended up using some Gorilla Glue, which it's pretty good stuff, so I assume it'll work. The frost line here, it's only going to be 6 inches from the surface, so I don't know how that's going to work. I guess if the water was coming off the house and it was super cold out, which would probably be a rarity, it could possibly freeze up right here. But it should be moving through with pretty good volume, since the drop is really probably about close to a foot. It drops in about 8 feet coming right off the lines here. Then I've got the other plumbing going over to the house here with the same type of configuration. The reason I went to the boxes is so that I could put a filter in them and catch stuff coming off the roof, so it wouldn't get into my lines where I'm trying to leach the water out, and hopefully it will keep them from getting plugged up. It also allows you to clean them out at the bottom because it drops stuff to the very bottom versus going into the outlet. So I'm going to plumb those in, level, possibly pour a little concrete, I don't know yet, or put bricks around it. And I'm going to start doing that today. So I also have a full truckload of rock over there. I got 2 tons of recycled concrete, and I'm going to use it as the compressed rock that's going to go underneath the sand and ultimately my bricks. My assumption is this water will go away and it'll be okay to have the bricks and be able to drive above it, so we will see. And just to clarify what material I was using here, I put the slotted corrugated flexible plastic pipe in this area where it will be doing the leaching. I used a 4-inch solid PVC pipe going up to the house and to the garage corners, and then where it connects into the fittings on the collection box, I used the flexible pipe, the 4-inch corrugated. I believe it'll all hold together well. Try to get it squared up with the garage corner best I can. That looks pretty good. These boxes have a filter that come with them. After you pay about $40 for this little box, you think you got everything, and then the filter that comes in there to keep the material from the downspout from getting into your pipe system and clogging them up, that filter alone's like $20-some, so it's not cheap putting these little boxes in. Well, that should do it. Well, I got it all formed up here. We're going to pour a little concrete and see if I can't get this thing really set in place. Mix up another bag. I thought one bag would be too much. We got it now. The basement, because we put that in, so it's been going for at least 20 years the way I designed it, and I'm hoping that this one will at least last 20. For me, if it does, I'll probably be gone within 20 years. Be a little bit old, I guess. So anyway, I will not bore you with this little bit of amateur concrete work I'm doing.